Let's take you to the Western Cape now, where violent crime continues to terrorize Western Cape communities. Now, in the latest incidents, 3 people were set on fire in Wallacedene and Kraaifontein, and this was in a suspected vigilante attack, while earlier this week, 6 others were shot dead in the same area. The Democratic Alliance says residents are living under constant threat and is hosting a briefing with Premier Alan Winde, Western Cape Community Safety MEC Anroux, as well as Cape Town Community Safety and Security MMC JP Smith. For more on this now, let's take you to Corbin August, who's in Cape Town for us this hour. So, Corbin, what's going to come out of this media briefing? I can imagine community members are already concerned by the alarming rates of crime in their various communities.
Well, yes, indeed. Good day to you and to the viewers. Well, as we all know, the Western Cape is currently in the grips of a high surge of crime, and this is violent crimes, with several shootings having occurred just in this last week, leading to the deaths of at least 10 people. We know dozens more have been murdered over the last few months, and the high levels of crime and criminality in the province are a major concern. Now, the DA in the Western Cape is hosting a briefing today where the party will be discussing possible options that can be taken and possible measures that can be implemented just to fight this scourge of crime. Joining me now, I do have the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Winde, who is also leading the DA here in the province, and he can perhaps give us a bit of an outline about what's expected during this briefing today. Premier, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and welcome.
A pleasure. Thank you very much. I mean, as you said, yesterday it's Kraaifontein, the day before it's Kraaifontein, then it's Mitchell's Plain, then it's Mfuleni, then it's Khayelitsha. So it is just unbelievable, and it's the gangsterism, the extortionists, these thugs are just really running rampant. And then you want to add another layer, which is, of course, the taxi violence and the strife between taxi associations. It is just unacceptable. And so the system of fighting crime, where you've got SAPS and national control and the criminal justice system, you've got provinces with oversight, you've got municipalities with law enforcement. So we really are saying, how do we do things differently? We need to work much closer together. We need to tackle this issue unified as 3 spheres of government, as civil society, all working together, as business, working together to say, let's actually get a grip on this unbelievable wave of crime that our residents are facing every single day. And so it is about the plan, so we'll be talking about that plan, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and what happens right down to local authority level. So it's not only about the province and the city, but it's the province, the city, and the other municipalities in this province, of which I have a responsibility. And, we've got to make sure that we get a grip now. We cannot let this get any worse. I must say that in mitigation, that I really am very encouraged. Yesterday we had a very good meeting with the newly appointed acting minister, Professor Kachalia, Feroz Kachalia, and he's got a lot of willingness. You can see it's a professor in the post. He's applying his mind. He's really thinking about other things. For me, it's encouraging that says, let's look at regulation. Let's look at legislation. Let's look at mechanisms. He explicitly said, which is very different to the previous police minister. I remember Minister Becky clearly saying to me, devolution, not over my dead body. He's saying, we're going to keep the door open. Let's look. Let's have discussions. Let's find ways. So that's very encouraging for me.
We know that the province has been driving this notion of devolution for quite some time, but just in the province's framework at this stage, just what does that devolution maybe entail?
So for me, it's about how the province has more say in management. Who decides which police officers are deployed to which police stations? Still today, year after year, we find the highest crime hotspots in our area with the least deployment of officers. That makes no sense to me at all. They should have the most deployment of officers. We have provinces with the highest crime levels, so now I'm not only advocating for the Western Cape. Other provinces with high crime levels, they need to get more deployment. What's happening in our province? The deployment is less. So those are the issues that we've got to deal with. And then where are the other gaps? inspections and investigations, detective work, they are totally overloaded. We're saying give the LEAP officers and the law enforcement officers across the province some extra powers in preparing the investigations. We've already shown through partnerships that if you put legal people inside a police station, you get a better quality docket. If we can get more people involved in investigations, you're going to get a better outcome at the end of the day. You're going to get a conviction. Too many cases fall off the roll, don't get their day in court, we don't get the convictions, and criminals just get away with it. Those are the kind of changes we've got to bring in.
Okay. Then when we look at the police resources that are allocated to the Western Cape, you mentioned a startling statistic recently this week when you said that the numbers in the province have decreased from 20,000 in 2019 to 13,000. Just after speaking to Professor Gashalia, did he maybe give you an indication of perhaps what can be done just to boost those numbers so that there's more police deployed in the Western Cape?
So in our conversation, I was saying that I will stand alongside him when we get to the National Cabinet, and we've got to talk to how budgets are appropriated. We need to make sure that budgets and money goes towards policing. Other provinces have similar problems to us. Obviously, my responsibility is this province. That number is way too low. We've got a growing population and a growing crime level. We need to have more police, not less police. So obviously, that all goes back to, is there a real willingness to give the funding to these specific areas that need the funding, which is in our case always education and health as the province, but policing as well. And that's always been my fight. I will continue to fight, and I'll fight alongside him to say at a national level we need to make sure that we give the resources, and it's manpower and resources, such as right down to basics of radio systems and vehicles, and how many vehicles are sitting on blocks in the back of a police station and not operational. When you speak to citizens, they say they make a call, they say we can't come to you now because we've only got one vehicle and it's out already. That cannot be. We've got to make sure we get the right resources in.
That's now looking at perhaps boots on the ground and policing resources, but then perhaps talk to us maybe in terms of what the province and the DA is maybe suggesting in terms of, fighting the root causes of crime. Talking about social development projects perhaps, and, addressing those various social ills and those dynamics in those hotspots where crime is being bred.
Absolutely. So that is critical, and that's much more where a province's responsibility can lie. And I will talk in the press conference about many more of those projects, but it is talking about the first 1,000 days of a child's life. If you look at our strategy document, it talks about the life cycle of a human being in our province. What happens in your first, or even before you're born, the support that you are given. Because if a mother gives birth to an underweight child, that underweight child is set up to fail in life into the future, more likely than anybody else to drop out of school, more likely then to get into crime rather than into a job. So it's about how do you track that lifestyle and what are those interventions. I'll talk a little bit about that, but it's, then it's social development, from GBV ambassadors on the one side to the SWIMS app, and using technology to understand how social work can actually enable those highly at-risk citizens and get them onto a pathway to a better future. Then it looks at the sort of intermediate phase into education. It looks at nutrition, school feeding. That's really critical to make sure that you're building a better society, right up to are we getting the right economic levers so that people can get employment, because it's about socio-economic consequences of maybe long-term bad planning, low growth rates in our economy, and how do people get jobs? Because if you can't get a job, then crime seems to be the next best thing. And so obviously it's all of those layers. So I'll definitely talk about and put some more substance into those layers when we have the conference now.
100% Premier, I think we'll leave it at that for now. Lots to take in, lots to process, and we know crime is a very complex and very layered issue. But thank you very much for your time, and wish you all the best. We'll see you inside at the briefing.
Thank you very much.
Well, of course, that was Premier of the Western Cape and DA member Alan Winde, who was just giving us that outline of what will be discussed just in terms of combating this high scourge of crime in the Western Cape with all these murders and the gang-related activity that's just put the province under siege. With that, back to you in studio.
Corbin August is on that story for us. Thanks so much for that update.